What's going on, everybody? So in today's episode, I'm going to show you how I disassemble, clean, and reassemble a Smith Wesson MP15 Sport 2 model. As always, if there are better ways to do what you see here today, comment below and let's start that dialogue. But for today's video, here's all the equipment that I'll be using on this tool. I've got a pull rod here. Now, if you have a borer snake, that's cool because I'm essentially doing the same movement. I've got a cleaning rod, bore brush, and an attachment for patches. I've got a soft bristle toothbrush, a metal pick, Q-tips, patches, and a towel. The cleaning supplies I'll be using today are Ballistol multi-purpose CLP and Hops No. 9 solvent and oil. To keep the area clean, I'm going to be doing all of the work on this mat here, and I recommend that you do the same thing as well. You don't want to ruin your table with all of the oil, the grease, the gunk, the dirt, etc. from your firearm. So anyway, let's keep things moving. So the first thing you're going to do is make sure that the firearm is unloaded. Magazine is out, and you want to aim the firearm in a safe direction. I personally don't like pointing it towards walls because you never want a round to go into another room. So I'm going to point it down. With the safety on, I'm going to pull the charging handle back and lock it. I'm going to physically confirm that there is nothing in front of the bolt and that there's nothing down the barrel. You want to make sure that there is no round chambered. Looks good. All right, so now let's start. Now you're going to see two pins on the left side of your firearm, right here and right there. You want to push those through until it moves down a bit. Once you see it coming from the other side, you want to pull those pins forward until you hear that click. Now you can separate your firearm's upper and your lower. With the upper in your hand, we're going to pull the bolt carrier group and the charging handle out. Just like that. The first piece we're going to work on is the bolt carrier because I want to soak it in some cleaning solvent and keep it to the side. So to break the bolt carrier group down, I need to first remove this little pin right here using my metal pick. Do not lose this at all. The firing pin is going to fall right out with a light drop. You want to push the bolt back and rotate this piece to the side so that you can pull it right on out. There you go. And now you've got your bolt out. So you've got all these pieces separated, and I'm going to spray them down with the Ballistol CLP. Let's put them all together. I want to give it a nice soaking because I'm going to let it hang to the side for a bit. Now, while all of this is going to be soaking, in the meantime, we're going to go focus on the upper. Now, with the upper, I'm going to do a dry clean first. I'm going to use my toothbrush and go after any sort of loose deposit or dirt. Anything that's behind the dust cover, if you can get it out, perfect. Let's keep breaking that down. All right. Afterward, I'm gonna attach my bore brush to the pull rod. And I'm gonna run it through the barrel to break up any dirt or loose buildup. Again, I don't go from the front. I run the brush from the back, just like this. I'll attach this piece to it. Now, just my personal rule, I probably do this about 10 times. Now afterwards, I'm gonna run a patch through the barrel with some hop solvent. To do this, I've got my rod and I slide it in through the front of the barrel so that it comes out in the back. I'll put some solvent on this patch. Again, not a lot. You don't need all this. Hops does a pretty damn good job with a very little amount. And then we're gonna pull this back out. Coming out in a circular motion because you want to get as much of the barrel as possible. You may not be able to see it, but it's pretty dirty. We're going to keep doing this just until the barrel feels really good and soaked, because we're going to put that to the side and then head over to the lower. So let's do one more. Just like that. All right, and now we'll head on to the lower and let this soak. All right, so with the lower, let's first take it off of safety. Now, I'm gonna put my hand over the hammer so that when I do pull the trigger, I don't strike anything hard or get anything damaged. So let's take care of that. Go, and I'm gonna slowly let it fall forward. From there, I'm gonna take my brush again and just, go after any sort of loose dirt, similar to what I've done with just about everything so far. We're gonna go into the magazine feed, brush around. Try and get any loose deposits that you may see. All right. Afterwards, I'm going to put some solvent on some patches and Q-tips and get to work. All right, so I feel pretty confident on how clean it is, and I went back and wiped off any excess solvent with the towel. So now I'm going to hit it up with the hops oil, touching up those same places and following the same process, using Q-tips and patches to hit up the metal points. So let's get to it. Just a few drops on a Q-tip should work. And we're gonna hit up these metal points, the springs, everything that's gonna have that metal to metal contact. All right, so after it is all oiled, I'm going to test it out. I'm going to keep one hand on the hammer and pull the trigger. So let's put that back. All right, it's on fire. And the trigger comes out. I'm going to do this a few times, just letting the oil fall down into place. If anything looks dry, I'll go back and hit it up again with some oil. But it is running pretty smooth. It's running very wet. All right. After that, I'm going to head back to the upper. All right, so the upper has been sitting in solvent for quite some time, but I'm going to run one more patch through with that hops, just to get everything moving around again. Remember, I went through the front and I'm going to pull the patches back. All right, so major improvement. What I'll do now is I'm going to I'll do the same thing, but with dry patches now. Keep rotating, going back and forth depending on how dirty the firearm is. But I feel pretty good on what I'm seeing thus far, so I'm gonna keep running it dry until they come out clean and white. So these are dry, clean patches that I'm running through now. Looks good. We're going to keep doing this until it comes out white. All right, so I feel good with how clean the barrel is. I've inspected it as well. It is very, very clean. So now what I'm going to do is I wiped everything down with my towel, and I'm going to begin to put some oil on it, similar to what I've done with the lower. So we're just going to go back and follow the same process. hitting all the areas where there could be metal to metal contact with some oil. Your AR wants a good amount of oil. It runs best when it's wet. Even if you're not actively using it all the time in the range, and if you're just storing it, it's good to store it wet. And don't be surprised if you catch any additional dirt. That's totally fine. With these patches having some oil in it, you're gonna pick up some dirt along the way. Throw some oil on this. Let's run that through. We're going to keep doing that probably 2 more times. All right, so now after I've oiled it up, I'm going to investigate, try and find something to focus on. And I can see right through it. There isn't anything disrupting my viewpoint in this barrel, and it looks very clean, very oiled and smooth. All right, so we've cleaned and oiled both the upper and lower parts. So now we're going to return to the bolt carrier group that we originally left soaking to the side with the solvent. All right, so here I'm going to begin cleaning out as much dirt and greasy buildup as possible using patches and some Q-tips. For areas that are stubborn, go back at it with the hops solvent. So let's get to it. You're gonna see a lot of dirt and grease buildup coming right off. Look at that. We're going to keep at it with all of the other parts. You're going to see a lot of grease, a lot of dirt, a lot of buildup just coming on to the Q-tips and the patches. Nice and clean. That looks clean. Firing pin is very clean. Charging handle, we're gonna wipe this down now. We're gonna wipe everything down so that we can oil it up. All right, so I have just cleaned and wiped with my towel all the parts for the bolt carrier group. And now we're gonna start with the bolt and go back and lubricate everything again. So we're gonna get this nice and oiled. You wanna pay attention to these rings over here, get that nice and oiled as well. You don't need to be conservative with the oil. Get it nice and wet. Remember, your AR wants to run wet, especially if you're not gonna be using it anytime soon and you're gonna store it. Store it well oiled, especially when you live somewhere where there's a lot of heat and humidity. All right. Now we are going to put some oil in here. All right. Now pay attention to how you're putting this in. You want it to go in at about the 11 o'clock, right? There we go. Once that hole is visual, I'm going to take this cam and oil this as well. Got a little eyelash or something that I do not want in my firearm. I'm going to oil this up. Go, and we are going to let this fall right into place. There you go, easy. So once that's there, remember to rotate this back so that it's nice and locked, right? All right, and now let's oil the firing pin. Should be enough right there. I'm going to put some oil down here. And let it fall right back in. You don't want to force it in. It'll do its thing. There you go. Once that's in there, we're going to oil this pin. And we are going to place this back into that little hole. There you go. Now that this is assembled, I'm going to start oiling the entire piece. I want to get these little linings. Really, again, everything that's going to be metal on metal contact. So keep that in mind as this gets back into as we put this back into the upper along with the charging handle. I'm going to do the same thing with the charging handle. Along each edge. Right? Nice and oiled, nice and wet. All right. Now with all of our pieces well oiled, we can begin to reassemble. All right, so we're going to take the charging handle and lay it back into the slot where it belongs in the upper. We're going to start from the top, and you'll see this little cutout where the charging handle can go into. Slide it up the top and let it go down that slot. We're going to keep it there just for a moment. And now we are going to take the bolt carrier group. We want to make sure it's extended, that it's out. There you go. It's out. And lay the gas block onto the charging handle. And it should all slide right back into place. There you go. You'll hear that click. Now the upper is ready to reassemble with the lower. So here, you want to make sure that the hammer is down again on the lower, and you're going to link up the two pieces just like you did when you took it apart. Here we go. And once it's perfectly lined, we're going to push the pins through. There we go. All right, and there you have it. After it's locked into place, let's cycle the charging handle a couple of times. You don't want to struggle here. You want it to be smooth. If it's rough, drop some oil down into where the bolt carrier group is going to be. So. Sounds good. I'm gonna lock it in place. Sounds good. We're gonna do a functions test with an empty magazine. So let's grab that. Empty, right? You want to make sure that the magazine catch still works. All right. Comes out, it's still empty. All right. After that, let's lock it again. You see, we're gonna lock it. Perfect. Now we are going to pull the trigger while it's on safe to make sure it doesn't pull back. It's on safe, nothing's happening, right? Okay, now let's put it on fire and pull the trigger. Hear the click, let's make sure it works again. cycle it back and pull the trigger several times. All good. Put it back on safe. All right. So there you have it, people. You now know how to disassemble, clean, and reassemble a Smith Wesson MP15 Sport 2. Like I said in the beginning, if there is a better way to do all of this, comment below. If there are any mistakes, definitely let me know. I'd rather be corrected than you get hurt. So thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, like, share. Peace.